This is part 14, guys. This is the last part of our story. This is where the story ends. We know Ivan is at the zoo. He's trying to become acquainted with the other gorillas, and he's got his eye on a special gorilla named Kenyani, a female. Kenyani ambles toward me. She taps me on the shoulder and Knuckle runs away. I watch her, arms crossed over my chest. I'm careful not to make a sound. I'm not sure what we're doing. She ambles back, shoves at me, dashes past. And then I realize what is happening. We're playing tag. And I'm it. Romance. Make eye contact, show your form, strut, grunt, throw a stick, grunt some more, make some moves. Romance is hard work. It looks so easy on TV. I'm not sure I will ever get the hang of it. I wish Bob were here. I could use some advice. I try to recall all the romance movies we watched together. I remember the talking, the hugging, the face licking. I'm not very good at this, but it's fun trying. Is there anything sweeter than the touch of another as she pulls a dead bug from your fur? Gorillas aren't chatty, like humans, prone to gossip and bad jokes, but now and again we swap a story under the sun. One day it's my turn. I tell my troop about Mac and Ruby and Bob and Stella and Julia and George, about my mother and father and sister. And when I'm done, they all look away, silent. Kenyani moves closer. Her shoulder brushes mine, and we let the sun soak into our fur. Together. I've explored every nook and cranny of this place, except for a hill at the far end where workers have been repairing a wall. They're finally gone. They've left behind fresh white brick and a mound of black dirt. While the others laze in the morning sun, I want to explore the hilltop. They've been there before, and I have not. Everything is still fresh to my eyes. I take my time going uphill, savoring the feel of grass on my knuckles. The breeze carries the shouts of children and the drowsy hum of bumblebees. Near the top of the hill is a low-limbed tree, the kind my sister would have loved. The wall is endless, clean and white, stretching far down to the habitats beyond my own. It's high and wide, carefully built to keep us in and others out. This is, after all, still a cage. It rained last night and the pile of dirt is soft to the touch. I scoop up a handful and breathe in the loamy smell. It's a rich brown color, heavy and cool in my palm. And the wall waits, like an endless blank billboard. It's a big wall, but it's a big pile of dirt, and I'm a big artist. I slap handfuls of mud on the warm cement. I make a handprint. I tap my nose with a muddy finger. I make a nose print. I slide my palms up and down. The mud is thick and hard to use, but I keep moving and scooping and spreading. I don't know what I'm making, and I don't care. I make swoops and swirls and thick lines, figures and shapes, light and shadow. I'm an artist at work. When I'm done, I step back to admire my work, but it's a large canvas and I'd like to get a better view. I go to the thick-limbed tree and grab the lowest branch. I try to swing my legs. Umph, I land hard. I'm too big to climb, I suppose. I try again anyway, and this time I pull myself onto the first limb, gasping for breath. One more limb, two, and I can't go any farther. Perched halfway up the tree, I see my troop, still dozing contentedly. I take in the wall, splattered and splashed with mud. Not much color, but lots of movement. I like it. It feels dreamy and wild, like something Julia might have made. From my seat in the tree, I can see beyond the wall. I see giraffes and hippos. I see deer with legs like delicate twigs. I see a bear snoozing in a hollow log. And I see elephants. She's far away, belly deep in tall grass with others by her side. Ruby?" "She's home, Stella. She's here," I whisper. "Ruby's safe, just like I promised." I call to Ruby, but the wind tugs at my words, and I know she'll never hear me. Still, Ruby pauses for a second, her ears spread wide like tiny sails. Then, with lumbering grace, she moves on through the grass. It's a cloudy evening, chill and drizzly. Dinner is on its way, but I don't care. At night we sleep in our den, but I'm always the last to head inside. I've been inside long enough. This time of day there aren't many visitors, just a few stragglers, leaning on the wall that separates us. They point, take a couple photos, then head over to the nearby giraffes. But one of the keepers is beckoning, and reluctantly I turn to go. Out of the corner of my eye, I see someone running. I pause. It's a girl with dark hair, lugging a backpack. A man follows behind, racing to catch up. "Ivan!" the girl yells. "Ivan!" It's Julia. I scramble to the edge of the wide moat that skirts the wall. Julia and George wave to me. I dash back and forth, hooting and grunting, doing a gorilla dance of happiness. "Calm down," says a voice. "You're behaving like a chimp." I freeze. A tiny, nut-brown, big-eared head pops out of Julia's backpack. "Nice place," Bob says. "Bob," I say, "it's really you." "In the flesh." "How? Where?" I can't seem to find any words. See him right there? George's job at the zoo doesn't start till next month, so he and Julia made an agreement. She's walking 3 extra dogs to cover my food. And get this, they're all poodles. "But you said you didn't want a home," I say. "Yeah," Bob says, "but Julia's mom likes my company, so I figure I'm doing everybody a favor. It's a win-win." Julia pushes Bob's head back inside her backpack. "You're not supposed to be here," she reminds him. "Ivan looks great, doesn't he, Jules?" George asks. "Stronger, happier even." Julia holds up a little photo, but it's too far away for me to see. "It's Ruby, Ivan. She's with the other elephants now. All because of you." I know I want to tell her. I saw with my own eyes. We stare across the expanse that separates us. After a while, George pats Julia's arm. "Time to go, Jules." Julia gives a wistful smile. "Bye, Ivan. Say hello to your new family." She turns to George. "Thank you, Dad." "For what?" "For," she gestures toward me, "for this." They turn to leave. The lamps that light the zoo pathways blink on, blanketing the world with yellow light. I can just make out Bob's little head sticking out of Julia's backpack. "You are the one and only Ivan," he calls. I nod, then turn toward my family, my life, my home. "Mighty Silverback," I whisper. There he is, in his new home. And that's the end, guys. Wasn't that a great story? Oh, so good. Hey, I want to read you the author's note because The One and Only Ivan is a made-up story, but it is based on a true story. So I want you to hear what the author says about that. The One and Only Ivan is a work of fiction, but the inspiration for this imagined tale lies in a true story. Ivan, a real gorilla, lived at Zoo Atlanta, but on the way to that happy ending, he spent almost 3 decades. Decades, remember what a decade is? 10 years, right? So 3 decades, 30 years, without seeing another of his own kind. After being captured as an infant in what is now the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Ivan's twin sister died en route to the United States or shortly thereafter. Ivan was raised in a home until he became unmanageable. At that point, he was added to an odd collection of animals housed at a circus-themed mall in Washington State. Ivan spent 27 years of his life alone in a cage. Over time, as an understanding of primate needs and behavior grew, public discomfort with Ivan's lonely state grew as well, particularly after he was featured in a National Geographic special entitled The Urban Gorilla. A public outcry followed, including heartfelt letters from children, and when the mall where Ivan lived went bankrupt, he was placed on permanent loan to the Zoo Atlanta, which houses the largest group of captive western lowland gorillas in the whole nation. Ivan became a beloved celebrity at Zoo Atlanta, where he lived contentedly with Kenyani and other gorillas. He was known for his paintings, which were often signed with his thumbprint. Ivan and Kenyani were real gorillas, and so, by the way, was Jumbo, whose story Stella tells to Ivan and Bob. But all the other characters and situations in this book are entirely the product of my imagination. When I started to write about the grim facts of Ivan's solitary existence, a new tale slowly began to take shape. At least on the page, where anything is possible, I wanted to give Ivan, even while captive behind the walls of his tiny cage, a voice of his own and a story to tell. I wanted to give him someone to protect, and the chance to be the mighty silverback he was always meant to be. The end. Hope you love the book, guys. It's a good one. And by the way, this summer, if you're looking for another book to read, this author, her name is Katherine Applegate. She wrote another book, and it's called The One and Only Bob. So it is from Bob the dog's perspective, and you hear more of his story. So if you're interested in that, I know the book just came out recently, so you can check it out in the library, and I bet you most of you would be able to read that book. So I hope you enjoyed the last read aloud of second grade, The One and Only Ivan. Bye, guys.